My mom uninvited me from Easter because it's for successful children only. I'd been covering my golden brother's rent and sister's college for 18 months. I texted back, good luck with next bill. Now they're begging me to reconsider. Hey Reddit, never thought I'd be posting family drama here, but this Easter situation got so insane, I need to get it off my chest. TLDR. My mom uninvited me from Easter dinner because apparently I'm not successful enough, while I've been secretly bankrolling my golden child brother's rent and my sister's college expenses for a year and a half. When I cut them off, suddenly everyone wants to be family again. I'm Marcus, 28M, and I work as a senior network engineer for a tech company in Austin. Make about $95,000 a year, which isn't bad, considering I started as a help desk guy 5 years ago with just a community college degree and some self-taught certifications. Own my own place. A decent 2-bedroom condo in North Austin that I got before the market went completely insane. Drive a reliable Honda Accord that's paid off, have a solid emergency fund, and contribute to my 401k like a responsible adult. Nothing flashy, but stable as hell. My family consists of mom, 52F, my golden child brother Tyler, 25M, and my sister Emma, 20F. Dad died when I was 14 in a construction accident, so mom raised us as a single parent with life insurance money and her job at the county clerk's office making around $42,000 annually. Here's where the family dynamics get toxic as hell. Tyler has always been the chosen one. Star quarterback in high school, 6 feet 2 inches, with that classic all-American look that made mom beam with pride at every game. Got a partial football scholarship to State University, and mom acted like he was destined for the NFL. She'd post constantly on Facebook about her future professional athlete son and how proud she was of his dedication to excellence. The reality? He blew out his ACL during a stupid off-season workout sophomore year, lost the scholarship when he couldn't perform at the same level, and dropped out after failing 3 classes junior year. Has been finding himself for the past 3 years while bouncing between part-time jobs at gyms, supplement stores, and various other positions that lasted maybe 6 months each before he'd quit because the manager didn't understand his potential. Currently, he's a social media influencer with 847 Instagram followers and a TikTok account where he posts gym workouts that get maybe 200 views on a good day. His content is generic motivational bullshit like grind never stops and success is a mindset paired with shirtless mirror selfies. The engagement is pathetic, mostly comments from mom and her church friends saying so proud of you and keep up the good work. Lives in this overpriced downtown Austin apartment because he needs to maintain his brand image and network with other entrepreneurs. The rent is $1,800 a month for a studio that's maybe 500 square feet, which is insane considering he makes maybe $400 a month selling protein powder affiliate links and the occasional sponsored post for local gyms that pay him in free membership. Emma is the academic darling. Valedictorian in high school, scored 1,520 on her SATs, got into UT Pre-Med on academic merit with a partial scholarship. Mom never shuts up about my daughter, the future doctor, at every family gathering, church function, or random encounter at the grocery store. She's got Emma's acceptance letter framed in the living room and brings up her GPA in conversations that have nothing to do with education. Problem is, even with scholarships, college is expensive as hell. Books for pre-med courses cost $300 to $400 each semester. Housing, meal plans, lab fees, parking passes, required technology. It adds up to thousands beyond what the scholarships cover. Emma's a good student, but she's also 20 and wants the normal college experience of occasionally going out with friends or buying clothes that aren't from Walmart. Me? I'm just the steady, reliable son who fixes computers and pays his bills on time. Not glamorous enough for mom's bragging rights at church functions. When people ask about her kids, she lights up talking about Tyler's business ventures and Emma's academic achievements. When she mentions me, it's usually, Marcus works with computers, delivered in the same tone you'd use to describe someone who bags groceries. The financial arrangement started about 18 months ago during one of Tyler's rough patches. He'd gotten evicted from his previous place, a shared apartment with 3 roommates, for not paying his portion of rent for 2 months. The roommates had covered for him initially, thinking it was temporary, but when he spent his rent money on a new iPhone and some expensive workout gear instead of paying them back, they gave him the boot. He was crashing on different friends' couches, storing his stuff in mom's garage, and essentially homeless with nowhere permanent to stay. Mom called me on a Tuesday night, sobbing about how her baby was going to be living in his car. Marcus, you know how hard it's been for Tyler since his injury. He's still trying to get his life together after everything that happened. His dreams got crushed, and he's doing his best to find a new path. Could you help him out just until he gets back on his feet? Maybe help with security deposit and first month's rent somewhere? The guilt trip was masterful. She painted Tyler as this tragic figure whose athletic dreams were stolen by cruel fate, now struggling to rebuild his identity, while the world didn't understand his potential. Made it sound like helping him was the compassionate thing to do for someone dealing with trauma and setbacks. I should have said no. But when your mom is sobbing on the phone about your brother sleeping in his car, what do? I agreed to cover his rent temporarily until he found stable work and could take over the payments himself. That was March 2022. It's now March 2024. Still paying that damn rent every month like clockwork. Emma's situation started around the same time. Her scholarships covered tuition and some housing, but she needed help with everything else. Books, food that wasn't the cafeteria meal plan, lab supplies, a laptop that could handle her coursework, and general living expenses that come with being a college student. Mom made this big speech about how education was an investment in the family's future, how supporting Emma through school would pay dividends for generations. Think about it, Marcus. When Emma becomes a doctor, she'll be able to help all of us. This is bigger than just college expenses. This is investing in our family's legacy. Your father would have wanted us to support her dreams, don't you think? He always said education was the one thing nobody could take away from you. Bringing up Dad was a low blow, but it worked. So I started sending Emma $800 a month for books, food, and other college expenses. Between Tyler's rent and Emma's support, I was dropping $2,600 monthly on family obligations, more than my mortgage payment. Let me be clear, neither Tyler nor Emma knew I was paying these bills. Mom handled everything and made it seem like she was covering the costs through some combination of savings, Dad's old life insurance money, and budgeting magic. They both thought Mom was just being incredibly generous and supportive, sacrificing her own comfort to help them succeed. Meanwhile, Mom would constantly criticize my lifestyle choices during our weekly phone calls or family dinners. My apartment was too small for someone your age, and not in a good neighborhood for meeting quality women. My car was embarrassing compared to Tyler's leased BMW 340i, which I later found out I was also secretly helping finance through car payments Mom claimed she was making for him. I didn't dress well enough, didn't have a girlfriend because I wasn't putting myself out there, and wasn't living up to my potential in terms of career advancement. Marcus, you're 28 years old and still single living in that little apartment, she'd say. Tyler's got his business ambitions, and Emma's becoming a doctor. What are you doing with your life? You can't just coast forever on that computer job? The irony was thick enough to cut with a knife. I was funding the success she constantly praised while being criticized for not achieving enough myself. Family dinners became exercises in frustration. We'd gather at Mom's house every other Sunday, and the dynamic was always the same. Tyler would dominate the conversation talking about his latest business idea, usually some dropshipping scheme he'd learned about from a YouTube guru, cryptocurrency investments based on TikTok tips, or plans to start a fitness coaching program despite having 0 certifications. I'm really focusing on building my personal brand right now, he'd say, scrolling through his phone while talking. The social media space is exploding, and I'm positioned to really capitalize on the fitness influence market. I've got some potential partnerships with supplement companies that could be game changers. Mom would hang on every word like he was presenting to venture capitalists instead of describing his pipe dreams to a family dinner. She'd ask follow-up questions about his business strategy and nod seriously when he explained why he needed to invest in expensive camera equipment or attend some bullshit entrepreneur conference in Vegas. Tyler's got such an entrepreneurial spirit, she'd say to anyone who'd listen. He's going to be very successful once he finds the right opportunity. He's just being strategic about building the foundation first. Emma would share updates about her classes, research opportunities, internship applications, and MCAT prep plans. Mom would beam with pride, interrupting to provide additional details about Emma's accomplishments to make sure everyone understood how brilliant her daughter was. Emma's professor said her research paper was graduate-level work, Mom would announce. She's already thinking about what medical specialty she wants to pursue. I keep telling people I'm going to have a doctor in the family. When it came to my turn, I'd mention work projects, new certifications I was pursuing, or technology trends I found interesting. Mom would nod politely for about 30 seconds and then immediately pivot to asking Tyler about his content creation strategy, or Emma about her organic chemistry class. That's nice, dear, she'd say dismissively. Tyler, did you tell everyone about that company that wants to sponsor your fitness posts? The company was a local gym that had offered him free membership in exchange for posting about their facility once a week. He presented it like Nike had offered him an endorsement deal. I started skipping some family dinners, claiming work obligations or other commitments. When Mom asked why I was missing so many gatherings, I said I was busy with projects and career development. She accused me of isolating myself and not prioritizing family relationships. Family should come first, Marcus. Work will always be there, but family is forever. I'm worried you're becoming one of those people who's married to their job instead of investing in the relationships that really matter. The cognitive dissonance was insane. I was literally funding two-thirds of her children's lives while being lectured about family priorities and criticized for not being successful enough to earn her respect. Last month, things got significantly worse when Tyler's latest scheme imploded spectacularly. He'd convinced some of his gym buddies to invest in his revolutionary fitness app idea, basically a generic workout tracker, with motivational quotes that he claimed would disrupt the fitness industry. He'd presented them with this elaborate business plan he'd copied from some online template, complete with projected revenue numbers that were completely fantastical. Promised them a fitness app that would compete with Nike Training Club and MyFitnessPal, with plans to sell it to a major company within 2 years. His friends invested amounts ranging from $1,000 to $3,000 each, pooling about $8,000 total. They thought they were getting in on the ground floor of the next big fitness technology breakthrough. Turns out Tyler had taken their money and spent it on his lifestyle instead of actual app development. New clothes, expensive dinners, a weekend trip to Miami to network with other entrepreneurs, and various other personal expenses that had nothing to do with building a business. When his friends started asking for progress updates after 3 months, he kept making excuses about development delays and perfecting the user experience. Bonjour des Serres, when they finally demanded to see the actual app, or at least some proof of development work, Tyler's lies unraveled completely. There was no app, no developer, no business plan beyond taking their money. His friends realized they'd been scammed and started threatening legal action for fraud. Tyler came to Mom in full panic mode, terrified about potential criminal charges and lawsuits that could destroy his life. Mom called me in crisis mode at 11 p.m. on a Thursday. Marcus, Tyler made some mistakes, but he's learned his lesson. You know how he gets excited about ideas, and sometimes doesn't think things through properly. He never meant to hurt anyone. He really thought he could make the app work. He just needs help getting out of this mess before it ruins his future. Could you loan him $8,000 to pay back his investors? $8,000. On top of the $1,800 monthly rent I was already covering, plus Tyler's car insurance and various other expenses Mom had gradually added to my tab. For a guy who'd committed what sounded like textbook investment fraud against his own friends. Mom, this isn't a mistake or poor planning. He took money from people under false pretenses and spent it on personal expenses instead of the business he promised to build. That's fraud. Don't be so dramatic, Marcus. It's not fraud. He really intended to build the app. Things just didn't work out the way he planned. These things happen in business. He needs our support, not judgment. For the first time in 18 months, I said no. Mom, I can't keep bailing him out every time he makes terrible decisions. He needs to face consequences and figure this out himself. Maybe this will finally teach him that actions have repercussions. She absolutely lost her mind. Started screaming about how I was being selfish, abandoning family when they needed me most, and showing my true character when tested. According to her, successful people help their family members during difficult times, and my refusal proved I wasn't the man she'd raised me to be. Your father would be ashamed of you right now, she said, voice shaking with anger. He always helped his family no matter what. That's what real men do. They step up when their loved ones need them. Instead, you're going to let your brother's life be destroyed over money. That conversation happened on a Tuesday. By Friday, Tyler had somehow scraped together the money to pay off his investors and avoid legal action. I assumed Mom had dipped into her savings or taken out a loan against the house. 2 weeks later, Emma called me directly for the first time in months. She was stressed about an unexpected lab fee, $350 for some specialized chemistry course, and asked if I could send extra money to cover it. When I asked why she was calling me instead of Mom like usual, she mentioned that Mom had told her I'd been helping with college expenses. Mom said you've been really generous helping me with school costs, Emma said. I never realized you were contributing so much. I thought Mom was covering everything from Dad's insurance money and her savings. That's when I realized Mom had started telling them the truth about who was actually funding their lives. Probably trying to guilt me into giving Tyler the $8,000 by showing him how much I'd already invested in the family. The Easter invitation drama started 3 weeks ago, during what I thought would be a routine conversation. Mom called to confirm I was coming to Easter dinner at my aunt's house, my dad's sister who hosts our big family gathering every year. This is our most important family tradition. All the cousins, aunts, uncles, and grandparents gather for this elaborate meal that's been happening since I was a kid. We're talking about 25 to 30 people, multiple courses, everyone bringing their signature dishes. It's the one time each year when the entire extended family comes together. Of course I'm coming, I said. I already bought ingredients for the potato salad you asked me to bring. Got the recipe from Grandma like you wanted. Actually, Marcus, we need to talk about that. I've been thinking, and maybe this year Easter should be for successful family members only. You know, people who've really made something of themselves and have achievements to celebrate. I thought she was joking. Had to be some kind of weird attempt at motivation or something. What do you mean? Well, Tyler's got his social media business really taking off now. He's up to almost 900 followers and has some exciting partnership opportunities coming up. Emma's excelling in her pre-med program and just got invited to join this exclusive research program. They're both doing amazing things with their lives, really making progress toward their goals. She paused, and I could hear her gathering steam for the real blow. You're just working the same job you've had for years. Same apartment, same routine, same everything. It might be awkward for you to be around all the family success stories and achievements. People are going to be asking about career developments and life milestones. And what are you going to say? That you're still doing tech support? I'm a senior network engineer, not tech support. Same difference. It's not exactly inspiring, is it? I think it would be better for everyone if you took some time to focus on improving yourself, instead of just showing up to family events without having anything to be proud of. Maybe next year you'll have some real accomplishments to share. The audacity was breathtaking. She was uninviting me from Easter, our biggest family tradition, because I wasn't successful enough, while I was literally paying for her successful children's lives. Are you seriously uninviting me from Easter because you don't think I'm successful enough? I'm not uninviting you, Marcus. I'm suggesting that maybe you need some motivation to make positive changes in your life. Sometimes a little embarrassment can be a good wake-up call. Your Aunt Karen was asking about your career progress last Christmas, and I didn't know what to tell her. It's embarrassing when people ask about your children's achievements, and one of them doesn't have any. I hung up without saying another word. Spent the next 2 hours pacing around my apartment in complete shock. This woman had just uninvited me from Easter, our most important family tradition, because I wasn't successful enough for her standards. The same woman whose phone calls I'd been answering for 18 months every time her golden children needed money. That's when I decided enough was enough. I pulled up my banking app and started canceling payments. Tyler's rent, canceled. Emma's monthly support, canceled. Tyler's car insurance that I'd been covering, canceled. The gym membership I'd been paying for Tyler, canceled. Even the family cell phone plan I'd taken over to help mom save money, canceled. 18 months of automatic transfers, standing payment authorizations, and financial support disappeared with a few clicks. Then I sent a group text to Mom, Tyler, and Emma. Just heard Easter is for successful children only. Good luck with next month's bills. I'm sure Tyler's 847 Instagram followers will help with the rent. And then I blocked all their numbers. The blowback was immediate and nuclear. Mom tried calling from different numbers. Her work phone, neighbors' phones, even had random family members reaching out. The story changed depending on who was delivering it and what angle she thought would work. Sometimes it was a misunderstanding, and she'd never actually uninvited me from Easter. Other times, it was me overreacting to a joke about success that I'd taken too seriously. Once it was her being concerned about my isolation and thinking I needed space to work on myself and my attitude. Tyler showed up at my apartment building 2 days later. The complex has controlled access, so he couldn't get to my door. But I watched him through my window pacing around the parking lot for over an hour. He tried calling from different numbers, left messages with the apartment management office, and even attempted to follow other residents through the security door. When he realized I wasn't coming down, he started yelling in the parking lot about how I was screwing over my own family and destroying Tyler's life over some petty bullshit. A neighbor called building security, and they escorted him off the property. He left a long note under my car windshield. Bro, I don't know what Mom said to you, but this isn't cool. I've got rent due in 3 days, and Mom said you're not helping anymore. This affects my credit score and my living situation. I could be homeless because of your tantrum. We're supposed to be family. That means supporting each other through tough times. Call me back. We can work this out like adults. The entitlement was stunning. No apology for 18 months of taking my support for granted. No acknowledgement that I'd been covering his expenses. Just anger that I'd stopped being their personal ATM machine. Emma's reaction was different, but equally manipulative. She sent long emails from her university account about how my sudden withdrawal of support was jeopardizing her education and future career. She'd apparently been counting on my monthly contributions for her final 2 years of college and had planned her budget around that income. I don't understand why you're punishing me for whatever happened between you and Mom, she wrote. I've been working so hard to make you proud, maintaining my GPA and staying focused on becoming a doctor. My education shouldn't be a weapon in your family drama. This isn't about me, but I'm the one who's going to suffer the most from your decision. I might have to drop out or take on massive student loans that will follow me for decades. The victim mentality was incredible. I was the bad guy for stopping my voluntary financial support that neither of them had asked for or acknowledged for over a year. The family pressure campaign intensified over the following weeks. My grandmother called to lecture me about family loyalty and how disappointed she was in my behavior. She'd apparently been told that I was punishing Tyler and Emma over some silly argument with Mom. Your grandfather and I didn't raise our children to abandon family members over money, she said. Blood is thicker than water, Marcus. These children need your help, and turning your back on them is not the Christian thing to do. My aunt forwarded me screenshots of Tyler's Instagram posts about fake family and people who abandon you when you need them most. He was posting motivational content about toxic relationships and cutting negative people from your life. The irony was completely lost on him. Emma's pre-med advisor apparently called Mom asking about tuition payment delays, which created another crisis. Emma was at risk of having her course registration frozen if certain fees weren't paid by specific deadlines. But the real crisis hit when Tyler received his 5-day eviction notice. Without my $1,800 monthly contribution, Tyler couldn't cover his rent. His social media business generated maybe $400 on a really good month, and he had absolutely no savings account. The landlord gave him a 5-day notice to pay or quit after the rent was 10 days late. Mom called from yet another number, completely hysterical. I didn't answer, but she left a 20-minute voicemail detailing Tyler's desperate situation. Marcus, Tyler's going to be homeless. He'll lose everything. His apartment, his business location for filming content, his whole setup. You can't let this happen to your own brother over some family disagreement. I've already promised his landlord that payment was coming, and if you don't help, Tyler will be on the streets. Is that what you want? Your brother living in his car because you decided to be petty? The manipulation was obvious, but part of me genuinely felt guilty. Despite everything that had happened, Tyler was still my brother. The idea of him being homeless was genuinely upsetting, even though his situation was entirely due to his own poor decisions and unrealistic expectations. But then I remembered that Easter conversation. Successful children only. Emma's crisis came 2 weeks later when her university put a hold on her student account for unpaid fees. Apparently, Mom had been using my monthly contributions to cover various college expenses beyond what I'd thought I was paying for. And without that money, Emma couldn't register for summer classes or access certain campus resources. Emma called from a friend's phone, crying and desperate. Marcus, I know you're mad at Mom about something, but please don't take it out on me. I'm trying to become a doctor to help people and save lives. Isn't that worth something? I'll pay you back after I graduate and get established in my career, I promise. I'll even pay interest if that makes it fair. The promise of future repayment from someone who'd never acknowledged the past 18 months of support was almost funny, but hearing her cry was genuinely hard. My resolve was tested when Tyler moved back in with Mom. My aunt mentioned during one of her guilt trip calls that he was sleeping on Mom's couch and driving for DoorDash 12 hours a day trying to make ends meet. Mom had taken a second job stocking shelves at a grocery store at night to help cover basic expenses. Your mother is working herself to death because you decided to be selfish, my aunt said. She's 52 years old, stocking shelves from midnight to 6 a.m., then going to her regular job at the county office. All because her son won't help his own family during a difficult time. The guilt was real and crushing. These people were genuinely struggling, and I had the financial means to help them. But every time I considered reaching out, I remembered that Easter conversation. The casual cruelty of being uninvited from our most important family tradition because I wasn't successful enough, while secretly funding the success of my siblings. The breakthrough came during an accidental encounter at the H-E-B grocery store where Mom had gotten her second job. I was doing my weekly shopping after work, around 7 p.m. on a Thursday, when I saw her in the produce section wearing the store uniform, khaki pants and a red polo shirt with a name tag. She looked exhausted, older than I remembered, with dark circles under her eyes and a general weariness that made her seem fragile. When she saw me examining avocados 3 feet away, her face went through multiple emotions: surprise, anger, desperation, and finally resignation. Marcus. Her voice was flat, defeated. Mom. We stood there for a moment in awkward silence between the apples and bananas, both of us pretending to shop while processing this unexpected encounter. How are you doing? I asked, despite everything that had happened. How do you think I'm doing? I'm working 2 jobs at 52 because my son decided to abandon his family over a misunderstanding about Easter dinner. A misunderstanding? You know I didn't mean that Easter thing the way it sounded. I worry about you sometimes, Marcus. You work so hard but don't seem happy or fulfilled. I thought maybe some space and motivation would help you figure out what you really want from life, instead of just going through the motions. The rewriting of history was masterful. Now she was the concerned mother worried about my happiness and fulfillment, not the woman who'd uninvited me for being unsuccessful. What I really want is for my family to treat me with basic respect instead of like an ATM they can insult when it's convenient. Her facade cracked slightly. You don't understand the pressure I'm under, Marcus. Tyler's struggling with depression after his injury destroyed his dreams. Emma's trying to become a doctor to help people. I'm trying to keep everyone together and support their goals. I made a mistake with what I said, but you're punishing all of us for it. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm just not subsidizing your lives anymore. That's when she revealed the real scope of their financial crisis. Without my support, their household economics had completely collapsed. Tyler's failed business ventures had burned through what savings Mom had left. Emma's college expenses were mounting beyond what scholarships covered. The house payment was getting tight with Mom's reduced income. I need your help, Marcus. Not just for them, but for me. I can't keep working these hours at my age. My back is killing me from stocking shelves, and I'm so tired I can barely function at my day job. I'm scared I'm going to lose everything your father worked for. For a moment, I almost caved. She looked genuinely desperate and defeated, and despite everything, she was still my mother. But then I remembered 18 months of taking my financial support completely for granted, while criticizing every aspect of my life and achievements. Mom, when you called to uninvite me from Easter, did you think about the fact that I'd been covering Tyler's rent for over a year? She looked away, unable to meet my eyes. Did you consider that Emma's been able to focus on her studies instead of working part-time because I've been sending her money every month? You never made a big deal about helping because I was helping family. I didn't expect gratitude or recognition. I was just being supportive. But apparently helping family for 18 months doesn't make me successful enough for Easter dinner. I walked away, leaving her standing in the produce section, looking smaller and older than I'd ever seen her. The next day, Emma called from her own number for the first time since the cutoff. Marcus, I talked to Mom last night. I had no idea you'd been helping me financially for so long. She always made it seem like she was covering my expenses from Dad's insurance money and her savings. Finally, some acknowledgement of reality. I wanted to thank you for everything you did. I know I never said it before because I didn't know. But looking back, I should have realized Mom couldn't afford all those expenses on her salary. I was naive about money and just assumed everything was taken care of. I appreciate that, Emma. I also want you to know I'm going to figure out how to handle my expenses without depending on anyone else. I've applied for 3 different work-study positions, and I'm researching additional scholarships and grants. I don't want to be part of this family dysfunction anymore. That conversation gave me hope that at least one family member was capable of growth and genuine accountability. Tyler's response was predictably different. He somehow figured out where I worked, probably through LinkedIn or by calling my old company, and showed up in the parking lot after my shift ended. What the hell is wrong with you, man? You're really going to let me be homeless because Mom hurt your feelings about some stupid dinner? Tyler, I covered your rent for 18 months. Did you ever thank me for that? Thank you for what? I thought Mom was paying it from her savings. Even if Mom was paying it, did you ever thank her? Did you ever ask how she could afford to cover your expenses on her salary? He had no answer for that, because the thought had never crossed his mind. Look, I busted my ass working multiple part-time jobs trying to make my social media thing work, he said defensively. The influencer business takes time to build. I was starting to get real traction before this whole family drama started. Tyler, 847 followers after 3 years isn't traction. It's a hobby. You don't understand entrepreneurship or building a personal brand. Not everyone can just clock in and clock out at some boring office job and call it success. The contempt in his voice was familiar. This was exactly how my family had always viewed my career. Boring, safe, unambitious, not worthy of respect. But that boring office job had been funding his dreams for the past year and a half. You're right, Tyler. I don't understand entrepreneurship. I understand paying rent on time, showing up to work every day, and not scamming friends out of their investment money. Maybe try understanding that sometime. He called me a jealous asshole and stormed off. Later that evening, he posted a long Instagram story about toxic family members who try to tear you down when you're building something great, and people who can't handle your success, so they try to sabotage you. The lack of self-awareness was stunning. 3 months after the Easter incident, Mom finally asked to meet in person for a real conversation. We went to a neutral location, a Panera Bread across town, and for the first time in years, she seemed genuinely humble and self-reflective. Marcus, I owe you a sincere apology, not just for the Easter comment, but for how I've treated you for a long time. This was unprecedented territory. I realized something when Emma told me about your last conversation with her. I've been taking you for granted because you're the stable, responsible one. You don't create drama or need constant rescuing, so I started seeing your help and support as automatic instead of generous. She paused, clearly struggling to find the right words. The Easter comment was awful and cruel. I was frustrated about money troubles and worried about Tyler's situation, and I took out my stress on you in the worst possible way. You didn't deserve that, especially considering everything you'd been doing to help us financially. What about Tyler's situation now? Tyler is going to have to figure things out on his own. He's 25 years old and can't keep expecting other people to fix his mistakes and bad decisions. I enabled that behavior by always rescuing him, and I'm trying to stop. And Emma? Emma's actually doing much better than any of us expected. She got approved for that work-study position in the chemistry lab, qualified for 2 additional small scholarships, and found a paid internship for this summer. She's managing her expenses pretty well on her own now. That was genuinely encouraging news. I'm not asking you to start helping financially again, Mom continued. I know I don't deserve that kind of generosity after how I treated you. I just want you to know that I understand how badly I screwed up our relationship, and I hope someday we can rebuild it based on mutual respect instead of expectations. We talked for over 2 hours. She was more honest about the family finances than she'd ever been before. Dad's life insurance money was essentially gone after years of poor budgeting and supporting Tyler's various schemes. Her county clerk's salary was adequate for basic living, but not enough to support 2 adult children indefinitely. She'd been using my contributions to maintain a lifestyle that none of them could actually afford on their own. I should have encouraged Tyler to get stable employment years ago, instead of enabling his unrealistic fantasies about social media fame. And I should have celebrated your achievements and career success, instead of taking them for granted while criticizing you for not being ambitious enough. It wasn't a complete reconciliation, but it felt like genuine progress toward rebuilding our relationship on healthier terms. Tyler's situation eventually resolved itself in a way that was both predictable and oddly satisfying. Unable to make rent and facing actual homelessness, he finally swallowed his pride and got a full-time job at FedEx loading trucks during the overnight shift. The work was physically demanding, the hours were brutal, and the pay was modest. Basically everything he'd been avoiding for years while chasing social media fame. But something genuinely interesting happened once he started working consistently. The structure and steady income seemed to provide mental stability he'd been lacking. He stopped posting delusional content about becoming an influencer and started talking about learning logistics operations and maybe working his way up in transportation management. I never realized how stressful it was not knowing where rent money was going to come from, he admitted during a family dinner 6 months later. Having a steady paycheck and knowing I can pay my bills is actually pretty great. I feel like an adult for the first time. He never directly apologized for the years of financial support I'd provided or acknowledged the sacrifice I'd made, but he did start showing genuine interest in my work and asking for career advice. Small progress, but progress nonetheless. Emma graduated summa cum laude and got accepted to UT Southwestern Medical School with a substantial merit scholarship. She credits having to manage her own expenses during the final year of college with developing financial responsibility and time management skills that helped her academically. Having to work part-time while studying was actually beneficial for me, she told the family. I learned to prioritize and budget in ways I never had to before. It made me appreciate my education more and taught me discipline. She's planning to specialize in family medicine and wants to work in underserved communities. The experience of financial stress apparently gave her perspective on how economic troubles affect people's health and well-being. As for me, I got promoted to senior systems architect with a substantial raise that put me over $110,000 annually. Used some of the money I'd been spending on family support to finally take that vacation to Japan I'd been wanting to do for years, but never felt I could afford. The trip was incredible. 2 weeks of exploring Tokyo, Kyoto, and Hiroshima without worrying about anyone else's bills or crises. I sent pictures to the family group chat, and Mom responded with genuine enthusiasm about my adventures. "You look so happy and relaxed," she texted. "I'm proud of you for doing something just for yourself. You deserve that trip." That message meant more than she probably realized. It was the first time in years she'd expressed pride in my choices without any criticism or suggestions for improvement. We had Easter dinner together this year at my aunt's house. Everyone showed up, everyone was welcome, and nobody questioned anyone's right to be there. Tyler brought homemade dinner rolls he'd actually baked himself instead of just showing up empty-handed. Emma helped coordinate the meal and handled cleanup organization. Mom made sure to ask detailed questions about my work projects and listen to my answers without immediately changing the subject. It wasn't perfect, but it felt like genuine family interaction for the first time in years. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way.